Touch a trend, be wildin' with it.
I'm excited.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to I-95 Sports Podcast, man. And today I have a very, very, very special guest, man. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. TikTok phenom, Who Politics, man. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, though, bro. Go ahead.
Yo, that's crazy, man. What's going on? It's Sigourney Jackson, aka Who Politics. I guess recent, stardom or whatever on TikTok, and also budding YouTuber. So what's going on? I'm really happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm excited, man. Let's get to it.
Let's go, man. Appreciate you coming on, man. Hey, so before we get into it, where can people follow you? Where can people find you? What is it that you do? And then I'll let them know how I connected with you.
Okay, so y'all can find me at hoop_politics. That's Instagram, that's Twitter, that's TikTok, Facebook, and you can also just go to the YouTube channel, and I got Who Politics and all that. And really what I'm doing is I'm showing the basketball community what it actually takes in order to make it to your goals, beyond what people like to say, which are so stereotypical, like, hey, you got to work hard and you got to be in the gym. I'm giving you the real as far as what kind of workouts to do, what camps to go to, what AAU events you need to be playing in, and how to actually put yourself in the best situation on all fronts of basketball.
All right, so I stumbled across you by accident. I'm just rolling FYP. I don't know how, at this point, I don't know how to work the TikTok thing.
Right.
I'm just getting it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to work this thing. So I'm scrolling. And I hear somebody say something that I'm familiar with about basketball. So
right.
Like, let me go to his page, and I went down a rabbit hole. Like, I'm sitting there for like 2.5 hours just watching video. I'm like, whoa, he's saying this, whoa, he's saying that, whoa, he said this, he said that. I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. So I'm like, a couple days goes by, I go back down another rabbit hole on your page. I'm like rewatching videos, I'm watching new stuff. I'm like, man, let me go DM him, bro. I gotta see if he gonna open this DM and DM me back. And I DM'd you. So we talking, and we go down our own rabbit hole. So
right.
Yeah, man, it was crazy because I really didn't expect you to hit me back so quick.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to even have a conversation with you. And so now we here, man. Your platform is incredible. I like what you're doing with the whole like Who Politic thing. Tell me how you got there. How did you don't speak on the TikTok part of it yet.
Right.
But how did you come to the conclusion Who Politic?
Man, so first, let me backtrack and say that because I don't want anybody to get upset, because people are DMing me constantly now. Mm-hmm. I do not respond to as many DMs as much. You caught me at the perfect time where like I was growing
before it got too crazy.
Right. So like I was still checking DMs and responding to people and seeing stuff. So that's how that happened. So I don't want anybody to hear this and say like, oh, so he just don't like me and don't want to respond to my DMs.
This was months ago.
Yeah.
Months and months ago.
Right. So we were in a different space, for that. So I want to make sure I say that. But what I would say is, so how I got to Who Politics is really through my own basketball journey. And not only me, but even other close friends. And what we just started to realize over time is that it's not about who's working the hardest. It's not about who's winning the games. There are other factors that are always playing their part outside of the actual game, which leads to how far you go. And once I started to really see it play out in front of me with people on my team, people who I was playing against, and then just talking to a few coaches who actually would keep it real with me, I just started to kind of understand that, oh, this is all politics. Like it's not what they're saying it is. And from there, it was just like Hoop Politics kind of was born from there. You know, when I finished my basketball career, you know, I just kind of said to myself, you know what, like, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm just going to put this information out because I know if I was a kid watching this, this is what I would have wished I knew before I went down the rabbit hole that is basketball.
What percentage would you say politics plays in the whole? Okay, let's just say, for example, the average, not superstar, let's not go superstar NBA player, the average, I say 7th, 8th man on the NBA bench. What percentage of politics from high school, college to that level does that play a role? Politics play a role in that?
I'd say
making
probably
it to a 7th, 8th man on the bench.
85 to 90%, maybe more. And the thing is, when I say that, because I get so much flack when I'm you know, talking on TikTok and everything. When I say that, yo, you're here because of politics, what people hear, especially basketball players, and I get it because you're competitive, it's your ego. What people hear me say is, you suck and you don't deserve to be here.
Okay, yeah.
And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, hey, look, it just worked out for you. But there are plenty of other people who could have been in this exact same situation. That doesn't mean you're not good enough to be here.
And not to cut you off, but that's why I asked, because I think any starting 5 NBA player could be a superstar at any moment in time. I feel like that's why any 6 man could be a superstar. Look at Lou Williams, look at Jamal Crawford, look at Manu, look at any 6 man. That's why I asked specifically 7th, 8th, 9th man on the bench. How much does that play into it?
It plays a lot into it, dude. I mean, it's like what a lot of people don't understand is like it's situation and opportunity. That's really what it is. It's situation and opportunity. You could look at like Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler blew up after Derrick Rose got hurt. You know, and now he's, you know, $100-200 million contracts, you know, whatever it is, you know, playing for the Miami Heat. You know, you look at somebody like Gilbert Arenas, you know, which a lot of people don't like as much, you know, because of his takes, but Gilbert talks about it all the time of like, yo, he was sitting at the end of the bench when he was with the Warriors, you know, but then, and then he got the opportunity to play after people started getting hurt, and then he blew up. So what that leads to, what that would lead me to believe is, yo, you already were who you always were. You just didn't get the opportunity. Some people get the opportunity and some people don't get the opportunity. But we like to trick people into saying everybody gets an opportunity. That's not how it works. Like life doesn't work. Even if you get out of sports, it doesn't work that way.
Right. Man, hey, you saying, hey, you said one, Gilbert Arenas. You said one.
Yo, he was different.
Hey, different. I don't think people know, man. He was giving y'all favorite. He was giving that man behind you some problems.
Factual. Gave him like what,
61? Gave him like 60, 61. RIP Kobe, but he was giving your favorite players that work.
Yo, he was so different. And I'll go a step further of saying people don't want to hear it, but yo, he was Steph Curry before Steph Curry in a lot of ways.
Definitely. He was like a I'd even go as far to say is he was like a hybrid of like Dame and Steph. He was like the perfect combo guard, to be honest.
With a little bit of James Harden mixed in.
Definitely.
You know, big, strong guard, wide shoulders. You know, could shoot the ball at a high level, got to the free throw line, was automatic at the free throw line, knew how to get to the rim, 3-level score, like
three levels.
He was doing it all, you know, and he was throwing the shots up and turning around before it went in, before Steph started doing it. So he was different, and a lot of people don't give him the respect he deserves, really just because a lot of people don't agree with a lot of the things that he says nowadays in sports.
Hey man, we got to give Gilbert his flowers, bro. Talk about give us a little bit about your hoop background, where you come from, what circuits you played on, stuff like that?
So I played, I went to Thomas Stone High School, which is in Waldorf, Maryland, which is where I'm from. Did 4 years. No, I did 4 years there. We went to, 3 state championships during my 4 years being there. We didn't win any of them. But I was actually on the state championship team my junior year that the last one we went to. Didn't really have a great situation over there. Beforehand, before I got ready to go to high school, I had the opportunity to go to another school. And I think this is actually where politics began in my career, but I didn't know it. I had the opportunity to go to another school called St. Mary's Riken, and they were part of the WCAC. The WCAC is one of the top, if not the top, high school league in the country. It's the same schools that have DeMatha, Paul VI, St. John's, a lot of big time schools. Quinn Cook, Victor Oladipo, Jeremy Grant, Markel Fultz, and a lot of big time college basketball players. There's plenty of guys all over the NBA who played in the WCAC. I didn't know at the time that the WCAC was big time. So I just believed that, hey, look, if you're good enough, they'll come find you. So I had already came out of private school. I didn't want to go back to private school. I didn't want to be in Catholic schools anymore. I didn't want to wear uniforms. I went to the public school. Went to the public school, I was made into a power forward and a center. When I was in high school, if I would have went to the other school, they say, you're going to play point guard for us. So I was being developed as a power forward, even though at the time I was only 6'1", 6'2". I ended up getting to 6'4" after I graduated high school. So I was playing down low pretty much all through high school. I ended up finding an AAU program through a friend, and it wasn't a part of the circuit. During the time that I was playing, they didn't have Adidas and Under Armour circuits. It was just the EYBL. So if you didn't play for the EYBL, you just played in like big shots tournaments.
Right.
So I ended up getting with an AAU team, and it was my first time playing real AAU where I was actually traveling, and they were talking about, hey, look, we play in the live periods. Didn't know what that was. Didn't know that there were certain events where colleges are actually going to be there. And that's when I really started to get into the game. And the coaches were saying, hey, you're going to play point guard. You're going to play shooting guard. Don't go down low. You stay on the wing.
Yeah, but you hadn't developed any guard skills.
Exactly. Outside of just going to the gym and just, working out and shooting and playing, with friends. So now I'm trying to relearn a position while also playing against 7-footers for the first time. Right. And also doing this with Mike Krzyzewski front row. So it's a lot going on at once. Right. So, I played through the summer. I started to get some interest, and my whole world changed. I was like, wow, I'm good enough to play Division I basketball. When before, all through high school, I was being told, you'll never dunk in a basketball game. You don't even think about scoring. You're not good enough to score. I didn't even start on my senior night, and there was only 3 seniors on the team, including myself. So I was getting done dirty. So in the span of a couple of months in the summer, everything changed. Now it's like, hey, Loyola, Maryland is interested. This school is interested. This school is interested. So I then start finding out about prep school, went to prep school, went to 2 different prep schools, one in South Carolina, one in North Carolina, started being around more high major Division I basketball players. That's where I played Andrew Wiggins. That's where I played Montrezl Harrell, Torian Graham, somebody you would know being from North Carolina. A lot of big time, basketball players on a regular basis. Ended up going JUCO. My grades weren't good. And I ended up going back home to play JUCO. And I played at the College of Southern Maryland, where we went to 2 back-to-back regional championships. My sophomore year, we were the number 13 team in the country. I was first team, all conference, all region 20. I ended up becoming one of the top ranked JUCO basketball players in the country by way of Jerry Mullins. And I ended up signing Division II and going to Oklahoma Baptist University. My first practice that I had there, I broke my wrist, and the doctors came in, felt up on my wrist, and basically said, "Oh, it's just a sprain. You're fine." And I played 10 games with my wrist being broken before I lost complete movement in my hand. And after the 10th game playing, they said, "We need to go get an x-ray." And it showed that I had fractured my scaphoid, and they shut me down for the season. And at the end of the season, they released me from my scholarship. And that's where my basketball career pretty much ended at. So,
wow. And what year was this?
This was 2015, 2016.
Okay.
So that's kind of long-winded, but that's the quickest synopsis that I can give. There's crazy stories and all different other things that went on in between, but that's the best I can give you right now.
That's crazy, man. So I heard you mention like some guys on your path to where you got to. Talk about some of the guys from your area, from Carolina, South Carolina, anywhere that you've ever been, who aren't necessarily household names, but gave you problems.
Whew. Okay, so I would say for one person who was on my team was a guy named Stephen Battle. Stephen Battle was probably the best player on my high school team when I was in public school before reclassifying. 6'5", long arms, super athletic, solid 3-level scorer. Easily could have been a mid or possibly a high major Division I basketball player if he just played for the right teams. If he would have played for the right AU teams or the right high schools. He went on to go D2, and he ended up going to a school called Florida Southern College, and they were the #1 team in the country for D2, and they won the national championship in like 2015, and they went like 35-1.
The reason why I feel like asking that question was so important is because you do hoop politics.
Right.
And the people who aren't necessarily household names, just as nice.
Exactly.
Just as nice. They could have made it, but there was a barrier in place for them not to. So that's why I asked you. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
nah, you're all good. You're all good. And that's absolutely right. Like, there are so many people out there who were just as nice, but just didn't have the right situations around them. Somebody who gave me problems in high school, I'll go back to a guy, Torian Graham. Torian Graham was different, and people really don't give him the respect he deserves because he had all these other things going on outside of basketball that, is his business. But look, man, it was senior night. He told us, it was his senior night. He told us that he was going to give us 30 before we played. And it was one of those 30s where, like, when it was all said and done, you said, he probably finished like a good, like, 17. He sure enough finished with 30 right on the head. Just long arms, 6'4", 6'5", shoots with all legs, high release, punching on people. Oh my gosh. And then he played with like an arrogance. He played with like an arrogance to him, to where it was like, the idea of me getting 30 against you is disrespectful to me. Like, I really should have had 50. Right. That's how he played.
I think he has an underrated like college career.
Facts.
At Arizona State. Like, I don't think people was like checking for bro by that time, but
Facts.
He was still nice in Arizona State.
And that goes into, like, that's an example of politics right there, because the only reason nobody's checking for him is because by the time he finished at Arizona State, he had been in college for like 5 years. So by that time, you're like 23, 24. Why are we going to take the 23, 24-year-old guy who can get 30 if we can take this 18-year-old who gets 14? So it's situation, opportunity, right time. If he would have, been able to go to NC State right away when he committed, and went with that team with like Rodney Purvis and Tyler Lewis and all those guys, totally different story we're talking about. And even with everything he did in those 5 years, still went G League, was with like the Utah Jazz G League for a little bit. And last I heard, he was somewhere overseas eating squid meat and dropping 40. So he's still living good.
still good, still doing well. Hey, you brought up a name, man. Man, you brought up a name that it stays stuck in my mind. So I'm gonna tell a quick story real quick.
Go for it.
So this is my, I want to say junior year in high school. I go to a school called Wayne Country Day.
Okay.
So I leave the public school to go to private school to play ball. And there's like, on that type of circuit, there's like made up schools.
Right.
So
All
I think
made up almost.
Yeah, like just about all of the schools are made up. I actually went to a real school, but I think this school in particular, I don't know if it still exists or what it was. We played a school called Upper Room.
Oh, yep.
And so they come to us first. They come to our gym. And I come out the locker room and I see they say he's 14 or like 15. They say he's that age, but I'm looking, I'm like, I'm 16 and he looked 25.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
This kid is Rodney Purvis.
Yo, different.
Put like I say like 28 on us. Like I'm talking about like mainly dunks, like 10 dunks.
Mm-hmm.
He got like 20 off dunks. Hadn't really developed the shot yet. Hadn't really like developed like a mid-range game, a long game. He was just brute, come down the lane, punch.
He was
like 10, 15 times. Like, I'm like, damn. I was like, I'm 16, bro. It might be over for me soon.
Yo, his body was so different. Like he was a man child up close, and people were saying he was the next D Wade, when he was in high school. Like he was so different. And like, I think people don't realize how crazy it is to see people who are 14 and to see like freakish bodies like that, like for somebody to really have the body of like a 24, 25-year-old at 13 or 14.
That was the first time I had really seen it, because all of the guys that I played with, we were all like lanky. We hadn't really developed our man bodies yet. We were kind of athletic.
Right.
Some of us more than others. But when I saw him, I'm like, yo, he got shoulders, he got chest, like he got calves, like he big ass, big head, like yo.
They just call him Buck. They call him Buck, right?
Think so. Same with like Dez Wells.
Oh my God.
I remember like going into the gym like during warm-ups and I'm just seeing him just.
Yo, Dez Wells was so different, bro. That Word of God team different. With him and Bishop Daniels and CJ Leslie, John Wall, like that team was so stacked. It was so different, bro. Like everybody had bounce.
And obviously, like the first time, like I'm looking at John Wall, I'm like, yo, what is this?
Yeah.
Like he's not even a person. I'm like, what is this?
Yo. Fast.
Oh. I'm like, dog, at this rate, I ain't making it past this, dog.
You like it's dudes.
It makes you come to the realization that like maybe it's not for me.
Right. It'll definitely make you think that, especially like if you compare yourself with what they do great. You know what I'm saying? Like if you think you're gonna go in with the perspective of like, oh, I'm just gonna be a great athlete, I'm gonna outrun, out jump, it's gonna make you feel some type of way. But if you can say, look, he will outrun me, but I'm finna shoot the cover off this ball, then it's like now it's just a battle. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Did you ever see Quincy Miller up close?
Oh, did I see Q Miller up close? So let me see. That's when they had that other made up school. Quality education. It was like him,
Ike Nwamu,
and Deuce Bello. I want to say Deuce Bello. Man, Hey, we come from a deep bag, bro.
It was different, bro. It was
A
real
deep bag.
live different during that time.
But did we see Q Miller up close? I don't think I saw Q Miller, but I saw a guy that was similar who wasn't as touted. His name was DeMontre Harris.
DeMontre
He
Harris.
was from Fayetteville, North Carolina. He was in that same kind of build. Like, I don't think he made it as far as Q Miller.
Right.
He was like in that 6'10, 6'11, lanky, baseline, like baseline of like he just roamed the baseline.
Right.
He get the ball and he just
Punching.
and let me get from down here.
Yo, he was different, bro. Like
Quincy was different.
It quick, like, man. I didn't see him. I didn't play against him, but I remember when I saw him for the first time, I was at an AU event in DC at Catholic University. John Wall was there because that was during the time when I think D1 Sports was still there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But they were sponsored with like Reebok now and stuff because John Wall was Reebok.
Yeah.
And I remember he came up in there. And I remember I said, "What's up to John?" He was cool. And Quincy came walking in. I was like, "Yo, this dude really is like every bit of 6'10", like wide shoulders, walking like he had to like turn to like get into the door." I'm like, "Yo, this is wild."
Mm-hmm. And he was not only was he like roaming the baseline, like and dunking, he was shooting the ball, he was dribbling, he was doing everything. And that's kind of when I realized, like, let me go find something else to do. Because like I can't do what I'm a guard and I can't do what a 6'10, 6'11 guy is doing. Like this how I started realizing like the game is evolving.
Right.
This ain't I kind of stopped growing.
Right.
So I'm maybe 6'1, 6'2, maybe.
Right.
So I'm like, this ain't it.
Had to change career paths.
For sure. For sure. Sure. Like it was starting to get dark for me.
I respect
Man,
it.
you said, but like Bishop Daniels, like, man, you said some Ike Nwamu. These guys are athletic. I really think their downfall is what I'm about to ask you next.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you think Steph Curry single-handedly ruined basketball?
No.
Because I'm asking that because these guys that I just named, they couldn't really shoot.
Right.
They were freakish athletes.
Right.
But they didn't develop their jump shots until Bishop got to Miami.
Right.
Before he developed the jump shot in that, or was it Rutgers?
He was at Rutgers at first, and then I think he went to Miami, and that's where he kind of started to do it.
That's where he kind of developed a jump shot. And this is I said 6-year span from where we're talking to the time he developed a jump shot. By this time, Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time.
Right.
We're starting to talk about that. So who you think Steph Curry ruined basketball single-handedly?
I don't think that he ruined basketball single-handedly. I think that, oh man, it's like a deep bag I'm about to get into.
Because before Steph Curry, it's okay if you can't really shoot. It's kind of okay if you can't really shoot a three ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like as long as you can get and whenever I think about this, I think about Ben Gordon. If you can get a 15-foot, 17-foot jump shot off, you good.
Right. I think that, man, I want to see how I preface this without like stepping on toes, but I guess I built a platform of stepping on toes. I do not think that Steph ruined basketball single-handedly. I think what has ruined basketball is media. Social media has ruined basketball. Coaches who don't know what they're talking about have ruined basketball, and trainers who've never played basketball at a high level have ruined basketball. I think that the knowledge of basketball, the knowledge of the game, has gone missing in the last 10 plus years. People in today's day and age, everybody knows how to do a step back. Everybody knows how to do a crossover. You could be 4 years old and you can see kids who are doing crossovers and step backs, spin moves, whatever.
Do that. What you gonna do after that?
Right. But not only that, it's like you don't even know why you're doing it. That's the issue with basketball today. You have people who have this crazy bag, but you don't know when to do it, and you don't even know why it works. So you're really just out here doing stuff off of muscle memory because this is what my trainer taught me. But your trainer was somebody who most likely just played pickup basketball all his life, and maybe he played a little bit of high school basketball, and that's it. So he can't tell you why or when to do these moves. He's just saying, yeah, we're going to do tween, cross, side step, hezzy, spin move, side step, cash. So we got a whole bunch of people who are super skilled, but their IQ is so low. And a lot of people get mad at me when I say, yeah, basketball's horrible today. And they'll say, it's the most skilled it's ever been. And I'm like, yeah, and it's the dumbest it's ever been.
Right.
The top teams who are winning are teams who don't really have the craziest bags, but they just figured out how to win with what they have. LeBron James is still effective, or has been effective in basketball for the better part of the last 5 or 6 years now, because one, he's a freak athlete, but two, because he figured out I don't have to do all this because of what I naturally can bring to the table. But now you have 7-footers who are trying to do step backs when it's like, you don't have to do that. You can just shoot over people.
Right.
So I think that people look at Steph and they say he's ruined basketball, but I think it's really all those other type of things. And what's funny enough is, as much as people talk about Steph ruining basketball, shooting the three and all that, he shoots a lot of mid-ranges. Like
he does. He does
a lot of floaters. He's really a 3-level scorer. But we look at
most of the, I'd say like a high percentage of his shots are like in the paint.
Yeah.
Like he's in the paint mostly.
Yeah. But
I mean, people have kind of figured out like we cannot let him get this shot off. Like a 3 for him is like a layup now.
Right.
So they're like, we'd rather 2 than 3.
Exactly. And the thing about that is like the media though is going to show the crazy 3 he made, which is cool because it's entertaining. It's great to watch. But most kids and most people are just watching those highlights. It's the same argument that I made about Jason Tatum, and I have for years. Jason Tatum is incredible. But when you watch Jason Tatum play, it looks like he watched nothing but Kobe Bryant highlights all his life, but he never watched Kobe Bryant's full game. Because if you watch Kobe get 40 in a game, you would know that he got 12 of it off of just catch and shoot. I caught it and shot it right away. I got the others off of getting to the rim, getting me a quick layup. I got some rebounds here, and I knocked down 7 free throws. And I had 5 tough shots where I was shooting, falling out of bounds into Madonna's lap, and it went in. But you only watched these 5 shots and said, this is Kobe. And that's what's ruined basketball.
Man, that's interesting, bro. Because like the past, like I say 2 or 3 seasons, I've been watching. I watch all the games. Like, and this past season, it annoyed me. And I finally came to that realization, what you're talking about. I'm watching the Sixers play.
Yeah.
I'm watching the Sixers and the Timberwolves play. And I'm watching Cat and I'm watching Joel. And I love them both. So I don't want anybody to think I'm talking bad about them. But I'm watching them and I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Right.
Y'all are too big, too strong, too physical to be trying to lullaby Jose Alvarado. What are y'all doing?
You're bailing people out. Like,
what are you doing? Like, Joel, get on the block. You know what I'm saying? Get you one dribble, turn around, dunk it.
Right.
Hey.
But what Joel had Joel Embiid did that more this year than he has in his entire career, and he had an MVP caliber season. You know, like, I'm not saying that I'm against skill, because I think skill is the most important thing that you can have in basketball.
Right.
But you have to know what you need to work for you. And the problem is everybody's trying to learn everything. And because you're trying to learn everything, you're good at everything and you're a master of none.
Exactly.
You know, Joel is the closest thing we probably have seen to Hakeem Olajuwon.
Right.
But he's out here bailing me out with 3-pointers for what?
Exactly. I said the same thing with Jaren Jackson Jr. I watched a lot of Grizzlies games.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? You're a footer, bro. Get on that block, bully this man, dump the ball.
And that doesn't mean that you can't shoot threes. Like, I'm cool with you. Like, I'm cool with you shooting some threes because you're skilled enough to do it. We've seen Jaren Jackson hit 6-7 threes on the Warriors in the playoffs. So we know he got the clip. But it's like, bro, if you get 30 and 21 of your points 3-pointers, that's a problem to me, because what that tells me is, so that you really should have had 50.
Because you could have dunked on Wiggins 10 times.
You know, so it's I could go on and on, but you know, I have a lot of issues with just basketball today, and most of it just comes down to people's approach to the game, their IQ, and social media. You know, social media has definitely destroyed a lot of basketball.
Do you think we use the word, and when I say we, I mean like kind of like basketball aficionados, like people who like to talk basketball, do you think we use the word skill too loosely when talking about some of these guys?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Because like, I haven't heard the word skill more since I've been on TikTok. This is the most I've heard the word skill be just thrown around. And growing up, I was taught pass, dribble, shoot.
Yeah.
That's the basic. I feel like everybody can do that. Everybody has those skills that can play basketball. Everybody has those skills. And I'm like, man, I feel like the TikTok, YouTube, Instagram basketball community is using this word skill too loosely.
Yeah.
Like, I think people associate, and I think that the new age of basketball is what, like Kyrie and Steph, think when they see Kyrie and Steph specifically and Joker.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all just taking 3 people and saying that the league can't have anybody better than these 3 people because they're the most skilled at one thing.
Right.
I just feel like we use it too loose.
Yeah, the problem, I think that we use it too loosely, and I think that a lot of it has to do with just this participation trophy generation. Like, for example, to me, I saw the beginnings of this when people came up with the idea of being a two-way player. Like, Paul George, for example, is the best two-way player in the NBA. Or Kawhi Leonard. Right. It's like Kawhi Leonard is the best two-way player in the NBA, and it's like, what's a two-way player? He plays on both ends of the floor. That's what you're supposed to do in basketball. Like, you should try to get 40, and then you should try to lock somebody up. Like, that's what you're supposed to do.
That's the whole point. That's the essence of basketball.
Right. So it began with stuff like that. And then it turned into, you know, and TikTok killed me, you know, for a couple of days because I said this. And funny enough, D'Angelo Russell tweeted something very similar to what I said, which makes me think like maybe I have some influence. But besides the point, I basically said, like, look, basketball players aren't as skilled as y'all think they are. Like, the majority of them are freak athletes and they have some skill, but they don't have as much skill as y'all think they really do. And people were saying, well, rebounding is a skill and defense is a skill, and you know, this is a skill and this is a skill. I'm like, bro, those aren't to me, let me preference to me. These are not skills, you know, and I think that we like to throw these things out there to bring everybody in and be like, no, we're all skilled and we're all
Mhm.
good. And it's like, if everything is a skill, then nothing is a skill. Like
Exactly.
people have said to me, like, no, running the floor is a skill. Like running in a straight line is a skill now. Like,
That's literally when you take the ball out, you're just running back up the court. Like when you make a shot, you're just running back the other way. That's not a skill.
but if you listen to TikTok, you listen to YouTube, it's a skill. And if you think anything different, then you're an idiot, you know. And I'm just like, all right, bro, like it's really crazy. But to answer your question, it's used too loosely. And the thing about it as well is, just because you are the most skilled does not mean you are the best. You can be the best at basketball
Mhm.
and still not be better than somebody else. And the prime example of that is Giannis. People try to convince me Giannis is very skilled. No, he's not.
No,
Like,
he's
no, he's
strong
not.
as an ox.
You know, and people say, do you see his dribbling skills at 7 feet tall, bro? Look, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Nobody's falling for that crossover that he does. Nobody falls for it. He's 7 feet tall. He's a freak of nature. He's extremely strong, and he's going to get to the rim. And he has the mentality of, I don't care how many free throws I miss. I'm going to keep going to the free throw line until I start making them. And he has figured out what is needed for him to
Mhm.
dominate. And we saw it in the Phoenix series for the championship. All he's got to do is hit a 15-footer here, a 12-footer here, some fadeaways. And if I hit 1 3 just to keep people honest, then I'm good. And he, to me, is probably the best player in the league or second best player in the league. And he doesn't have much skill at all. Shaq, to me, was no different. There's a lot of guys who like aren't
Oh,
very
that's a
skilled.
perfect example. Like Shaq had really no skill. He was brute force.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that does not mean he wasn't great. That doesn't mean
Exactly.
that doesn't mean he's not legendary. Like, and once again, people's egos get in play and it makes it sound like I'm saying he sucks. I'm not saying that, because I would love to have Shaq or Giannis on my team, but you are what you are. And if you can figure out what works for you,
Mhm.
then you can be successful. You have to
Right.
be more skilled the least athletic you are. The less athletic you are, the more skilled you have to be.
That's
Steph and
perfect.
Kyrie have to have the crazy dribbling package, the crazy jump shot, the crazy floaters, because they're not going to blow by you. They're not going to jump over you. LeBron, on the other hand, literally looks at the ball and then just looks at the rim and shoots it. Like, but he can do that because he's the most freakish human being that might have ever graced planet Earth.
Exactly.
And that
Exactly.
doesn't mean he's bad. He's just doing what works for him.
Man, we think the exact same on this topic, man. Because like I've just more so recently just heard people just going in on Jokic being just he's the most skilled player ever. And I'm like,
How?
he's 6'11". He can see the court very easily.
Yes.
If you get the ball at the top of the key at 6'11", you're able to kind of dictate what happens next.
Yes.
It's simple. It's not even a thing of skill. Like, if he just so happens to make a nice pass, it's only because he can see over the 6'6" guard.
Right.
I'm not understanding. I'm not hating.
Right.
I'm saying it's common sense. If you're the biggest dude on the court, and you're at the top of the key, and you are in control of the offense, what else is he supposed to do?
Right. And I'll say this: I think Jokic is very skilled. I do. I think
He is
extremely
very
skilled.
skilled.
I personally think, and you know, to people who watch this, do your homework on this. I think Jokic is modern day Arvydas Sabonis.
Oh yeah, from
He's
Portland. Yeah.
he's modern day Arvydas Sabonis. Like, many people say that Arvydas was really the most skilled big to ever play basketball, but people just don't know him because he played most of his time in Lithuania, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think he was in Lithuania, and then he played like a couple years with the Trailblazers. Like, Jokic is extremely skilled, but to say, okay, he's the most skilled player ever, like, I don't know how that. I mean, I think Joel Embiid is more skilled than him, but I mean, as of
I
right
mean,
now, I think Jokic is probably better than Embiid.
I think it take more skill, or I would say Will Barton and Torrey Craig to cut to the basket than it does for Jokic to pass him the ball on the way to the basket.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. That might sound crazy to some people, but hey, creating separation, getting off your defender and getting to the basket cut, I think that requires more skill than Jokic passing the ball to this person. I don't know.
for sure.
I don't know, man.
Man, look, just to recap for anybody who missed all this. Look, the smaller you are, the more skilled you have to be. The less athletic you are, the more skilled you have to be. You have to be better at basketball the smaller and least athletic you are. When you are taller, more athletic, whatever the case may be, you can have less skill. That does not mean you are not skilled at all. It just means you need less in order to get to the finish line. That's all it is.
I think a perfect example of this is, I would say, maybe it's not a perfect example because he was also a kind of a freakish athlete, is Kobe.
Kobe wasn't a freak like people think.
Okay, I'm glad we agree on that. Kobe
Yeah.
wasn't a freak per se necessarily compared to like Michael Jordan.
Right.
He wasn't really a freak, or compared to LeBron.
Yeah.
Kobe wasn't a freak, but he does have more skill than those two.
Yeah.
But to compensate for the fact that he's not a freak.
Exactly. And Kobe was, a high level athlete, but he wasn't a freak like that. He wasn't. But yeah, he maxed out his skill. And plus Kobe was just a sick dude. Like Kobe was just a sick dude to where he was like, I just want to be better. And that's something that a lot of people just in general don't have, so yeah, that's a perfect example of that. Kobe maxed out his skill, and that's why he was able to dominate with the athletic traits he already had.
And I think, and I also want to preface what I just said, because I think when people think freak, they just think like big and strong and fast. But I'm talking about like the intricate parts of being a freak athlete. Like Jordan was as quick as a cat.
Yeah.
Like he had like cat reflexes, like literally, like reflexes like a cat.
Yep.
Which is insane.
Yep.
48-inch vert, like crazy stuff, like just stuff that don't make sense for the normal human to be able to do.
I'll tell you a sign of, for people who might really want to know what a freak athlete looks like. Like for anybody out there who's playing basketball or who's looking to play basketball, there's a lot of different ways that you can see a freak athlete, but I'll give you a sign of a freak athlete. Somebody who isn't playing to get to the rim, they're playing to get to a spot. Like if you've never seen somebody say, once I get to this point, it's over with, you haven't really played with a freak athlete. Somebody like somebody who, like if somebody were to make a move in the half court set and they're counting their steps as they're moving to then go up and dunk, that's not a freak athlete. That's somebody who is, maybe still athletic, but they're trying to build themselves up and get their rhythm to go up. Whereas other people are trying to get to the launching pad. They're saying, I'm going to get to this one spot, and when I get there, y'all better be out the way. Y'all better find somewhere else to be other than here.
I'm thinking, like, when I think of freak athletes, I probably think of some of the most like I'm thinking Andrew Wiggins.
Freakiest athlete I've ever played and seen in my life.
Like I'm thinking of guys like that, like people who you just wouldn't expect. Like I'm thinking Wiggins, I'm thinking De'Aaron Fox. Like to me, these guys are freak athletes. Like
Zach LaVine.
Oh my God. It's just like you said, they picking their spots and you better get out of the way.
Right. I'll tell this right here. I remember I was playing Andrew Wiggins and I tell everybody the exact same thing. And people said I was a hater until they saw him with Minnesota. And then recently, since last year, I had to change my thoughts about Andrew Wiggins. But when I played Andrew Wiggins, people asked me, what was it like? And I said, it was not amazing at all. Like it was lackluster. I didn't walk away and say that's the best guy. Like I was more surprised by seeing Torian Graham than I was by Andrew Wiggins. But the one thing that separated Andrew that I've never seen in my life was I've never seen somebody 17 years old, 16 years old. He's legit 6'8", super cut, like not an ounce of body fat on him. Super cut, arms come down past his kneecaps, gets the ball, and just, I was guarding him, blew by me one step. And like before I could even realize that he had moved, he was already, shoulders were already touching my shoulder going by me. So from there, I would bump him, like, because I'm just like, I got to slow him down somehow, bump him. He's strong. So like when I bump him, I'm falling back.
Yeah, he coming through you.
Right. Then he would get off balance and he would just do some stupid stuff and just throw the ball up at the rim, miss it, run to the rim and jump back up and just catch the ball like this and lay it back over into the rim. He would jump, run, and jump twice before we came down from our first jump trying to grab the rebound off his miss.
Exactly. So he pretty much doing everything like 2 or 3 times quicker than you are able to even process it.
Can't even process it. Like it's so like those are freak athletes where you seeing people move when like you're like science would say you're too heavy, you're too big. There's no kind of like Zion. You're too big, you're too heavy to even be able to move this way. Like, how are you doing this? Like it's different. And until you've actually seen it up close, you don't really know the differences. You think because this guy dunked in a high school game, like, oh, he's super athletic. Wait till you really see what's going on.
Yeah. Hey, I agree, because like it's even evident in the games. Like when I watch the Warriors play, like he gets a lot of putback dunks.
Yeah.
And it's like his brain is just, it's almost like he can feel the ball coming off the rim before the shots even left the person's hand.
Right.
He's already in the air, ball in hand, ready to come down on you.
Right.
Like you're saying, it's like he's able to perform the act before anybody's mind is able to even turn to say, let me turn around and block him from getting his putback done.
Right.
Makes no sense.
And that's the and this kind of comes back full circle. If you ask somebody, they'll say that's a skill. And it's like, no, that's just something you can't teach. That's
very intangible.
Yeah, like you can't teach that. That's just like, yo, he has that and I don't. And the only way I can compete, I have to figure out what I have and maximize that. And that's literally what Steph Curry, Dame Lillard, Kyrie Irving have done.
Yeah. I would even go out on a limb to say like all the most skilled players are probably like 6'4" and under.
Yeah, for the most part.
Because like you say, like the size difference, they have to have something to compensate for all of this. They don't jump as high, they don't run as fast, they're not as tall, they're not as strong, not as big. They have to have some sort of skill to compensate.
Yeah, the only outlier to that would be people like Russell Westbrook, Ja Morant, early D Rose, people like that, where they're some of the freakiest of athletes to where they can get that off. But that's not the norm, And then you have people who are super tall who are like also super skilled, like Paul George, where it's just like, what do you do with people like that? You can't do anything with them.
Man, I like that you keep bringing up Paul George because that's one of my favorite players in the league. And
I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry to hear that.
I feel like people just, like I think it's people just forget. Like, oh, is nice. Like he's literally one of the nicest in the league. Like
easily.
I think that playoff P thing might be a thing. I'm starting to come around to that.
Yeah.
But I don't like that they call him that, but it might be a thing. But he's still one of the nicest. Like, glad that you keep bringing him up because he's one of my favorite players in the league.
Look, I have no issue with Paul George. First of all, he called himself playoff P, and then it got bad after that. But
that is true.
I like Paul George. I like his game. I got some of his shoes right now, the pink ones, and they're hard. But it's like, and I made a TikTok video like 2-3 days ago, and
I
people
just
were
saw
upset
that.
about it.
I just
But
saw that.
I'm like, yo, on paper, Paul George should be one of, if not the best basketball player in the league. Dude's legit 6'10", long arms. He can play make. He can score at all three levels. He's strong. He's smart. He locks up.
His handle is right up there with any guard, any guard in the league.
Like he's different. He's just different on all levels. And it's like with all that, when playoff time comes, it's like he just forgets how to play basketball. And it's like people say, you know, well, he's hurt. Like that's what everybody says. Well, he's hurt and he's got mental stuff going on. It's like, but it's not going on during the first 82 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's great. I love his game. It's just at a certain point, I can't keep backing it. And then I'm looking at Kawhi Leonard, who has less skill, less athletic, and he's finding a way to get chips against Bron and against Curry, muscling dudes and just hitting Kobe fadeaways.
Yeah. Dang.
It's the mentality.
I love Kawhi too, though. Like I love those are like they probably my top 5 favorite players in the league. Period.
Really?
Both of them. Yeah, I love Kawhi just because like it's so simple. Yeah. My game was always really just simple. I was a 1-2 dribble pull up.
Yeah.
Elbow jumper. So like I'm like, okay, my game resembles his game. Like I'm not flashy. I don't do no extra to get where I got to get to. Like I'm doing 1-2 dribble, I'm pulling up.
Right.
No step backs, no none of that. So
yeah, I like Kawhi's game too. Kawhi, like what I would love to do if I ever could is I would love to be a fly on the wall and watch Kawhi Leonard work out, like in the weight room. Mm-hmm. Like I just want to see what does he do, because like I have these weird things that I like look at and love about all different types of players. So like I love Kawhi Leonard's body, and it's kind of like I just want to see how do you work out. I don't even want to see you like work out in the gym like shooting. I want to see how do you lift. I want to see what does LeBron do to take care of his body. I want to see what does Andre Iguodala do. Like there are certain people where I'm just like throughout
it's
the
weird
year
because I've always Kawhi's body, he doesn't look 6'7", 6'8".
Right.
But I can tell, like when he starts to get near another guy, I'm like, okay, he is 6'7", 6'8".
Right.
And he's like, I'm like, dang, like
he built like an action.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, Kawhi might really be like 6'4", 6'5". But I'm like, nah, Kawhi really. I just saw him standing next to Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Like, damn, he's huge.
So and you know he got bigger. You know he got bigger, I guess, since being from like the ACL injury and everything.
Yeah,
he got massive. So I want to see how does he move in the actual game, because he's ridiculous. He looks like he looks wild. Like he's built like the Crimson Chin.
Yeah, he did now. Yeah, now he is. Yeah. Oh, all right, man. I want to get into this TikTok thing real quick. When did you realize that your TikTok was like gaining traction? Was there like a certain video? Was there a certain set of videos? Like when did you realize like, oh, whoa, hold on, this is getting crazy?
Honestly, there was no certain video. We kind of talked about this off air, but like, first of all, the only reason I ever started TikTok was because I was just trying to get my YouTube going. I've been doing YouTube for a couple of years. It was not gaining the traction I wanted it to gain. And I had put up like almost 100 videos, and I didn't even have 1,000 subscribers. And if for people who I guess end up going to my YouTube channel, there's a video of me playing one-on-one. It was the last one-on-one video that I played in, playing against a D1 walk-on. The last shot that I make in the game, in the back corner, you can see a guy off in the distance, like a skinny dude. After that game, he came over to me and said, bro, you're nice. I said, okay, I appreciate it, whatever. He's like, nah, you really nice. I'm like, all right, bro, like I get it. Like I'm nice, I know, but relax. Come to find out, he's big on TikTok and his name is G Flint. And for people who are really big in the TikTok space, they'll know who he is, but he does a lot of basketball dribbling stuff. He's been on TV, on NBA commercials, everything. He told me, yo, you need to make a TikTok. He had watched my YouTube videos. He said, make a TikTok. It's going to grow and your YouTube will follow. I said, all right, whatever. I'll try it, after him telling me this for like months and I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Month comes around, or like it eventually it comes around. I make a TikTok. He follows me on there. He's texting me saying, bro, just post videos, post videos. I was posting for like a good 2-3 weeks, saw no traction. I pretty much was ready to throw it away because I was already bitter with just how my YouTube was doing. And now I'm reliving it on TikTok. So I was just like, I'm good off this. And one person commented on my video and just asked me a question like how do you, what do I need to work on as an undersized point guard or something like that? And I was like, you got to do this, this, and this. And more people start commenting and asking more questions. And I just kept answering questions. And then I started to tell personal stories of me to kind of show like, hey, look, I'm telling you what actually works because I've done it. And then, you know what? Now that I talk myself through it, the video that really took off, there is a video that took off. I done did all that. The video that took off was when I said the biggest difference between Division I and Division II.
That's the video that caught my attention.
That, like, I did all that talking. For the fans out there, I apologize. Sometimes I talk myself through it. But no, the biggest difference between Division I and Division II, that is the video that just completely changed. And I just made it just because I actually had already made that video like 3-4 years ago on YouTube, and it didn't really get any traction. I just regurgitated what I already said on TikTok or on YouTube on the TikTok. And it was like, boom. And then just hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views. And like, then people start going and looking at my other videos. So out of nowhere, it just took off and blew up. And I start having like some NBA guys, some big content creators like Filet and Famous Los, and people who started commenting being like, I've never heard anybody explain it like this, but this is 100% facts.
Right.
You had guys who were playing high major D1 who agreed. You had some people who disagreed. And then from there, it spun off to where other people started doing it too. Like I started seeing people saying the difference between Division I and Division II for football or for baseball. People started saying, what's the difference between NAIA and JUCO? And it just kept going. And I mean, I still get views to this day. So that's the video probably that just.
That's definitely the video that got me rolling. Like, just like when you said like, so if I remember the video right, if I remember it, you said nothing. There is no difference.
Yeah.
I was like, let me keep watching this because it got to be some sort of a difference. But then like the more, after you said it, I heard more people who play on these levels, D1, D2, explain like he's right. Like people that I actually know that play on these levels, they're like, he got a point.
Right.
So it's
just the bigs
talking some real game.
Yeah, it's the bigs. Like that's all it is. Like it's the bigs. And people, you know, no, it's the athleticism and it's the speed and it's the size of the players. And it's like, no, because this is the thing that my rebuttal to people who say that is like, nobody is walking in with a Division I body straight out of high school like that, outside of the freaks we're talking about, like Rodney Purvis, Andrew Wiggins, people like that. You develop that when you go to those schools. So if you don't have the resources and the time like D1s do, you can't build that type of body and get those supplements and all those type of things. That's why people will be in high school as a senior and be barely able to dunk the basketball. They'll go away for one summer at their D1 school and they come back and they're windmilling. And then people will say, oh yeah, you know, the athleticism. It's like, no, bro, you can get that too. Now there's people out here today who are teaching you how to get a 40-inch vertical off of doing certain workouts. So it really was just the knowledge and the information. So when we remove all that and take that away, what is it that really is separating D1 and D2? It's just the bigs. Like, you don't know what it's like to go to the rim and have a footer waiting for you, and then have a power forward who's 6'10" waiting for you.
Because like you said, when you were coming up, you were 6'2" playing power forward.
Right.
So it's like, imagine 6'2" going up against Joel at the rim.
Right. You know, it exactly. You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, and then when you go D2, and the only reason I know this is literally because of I played at a high level in high school when I went to prep school, and I played it in AAU. So I saw it, you know, with my own eyes. And then when I went D2, I'm like, oh, these centers are 6'8". That's a league at the Division I level. You know what I'm saying? That's a undersized power forward at the low major Division I level.
Right.
You know, so a lot of people agreed and a lot of people were upset. And then it kind of turned into, you're just hating because you didn't play D1. It's like, I've done up a lot of Division I guys in my life. Like, it's not a big deal, but I digress. I digress.
Man, nah, when I saw that video, that made a lot of sense. Cause like, if you just really just look back on Division I basketball, if anybody is a fan of college basketball,
right,
there's only ever been like a handful of just like, I'd say tweeners who were like played as big men.
Yeah.
DeJuan Blair, for example.
Tough.
He was like, I say he was 6'6", all of 6'6". Playing big.
Sam Young,
same school. Was that the same time?
It might have been. Oh man. See, now I'm gonna be mad. Now I'm gonna be mad when I like when we get off of here and I don't
Sam
remember.
Young and DeJuan Blair play together. Y'all let us know in the comments if they played together. I can't remember.
Right.
But same school, same program. But they were around the same build, like 6'6", maybe 6'7", maybe.
Right.
But they were playing big, and that's like that, and it's hard for me to even generate more. Like a Draymond Green.
Yep. Kenneth Faried.
Kenneth Faried, yeah, he was playing big, but they were smaller. It's only ever been a few.
Yeah, it's not.
So like what you're saying makes perfect sense. That is the difference.
And what really made people mad, and I'll say this before we go, but what really made people mad about that was the thing I said outside of that, which was guards are pretty much all the same across basketball.
Right.
And if we reference back to the beginning of our conversation, when we talked about the guards, we said the most skilled guys are normally 6'4" and under.
Right.
You're not beating me off of freak athleticism. John Wall can, but there's not that many John Walls. So he's one point guard out of 60 other point guards in the NBA. So really, if I can at least grow enough to be 6'2", 6'3", and I can work on my shooting, passing, dribbling, my skills, I can compete with you. Like when you look at YouTube videos of Devontae Friga or Filet or Devin in the Lab or whatever, you'll see them in open gyms with NBA guys, and they'll score on them too, and sometimes win. And it's like, why? Because in order for you to be dominant as a guard, you have to be on your ish, like at all times. You can't take a back seat and be chilling. But when you 6'11", 7 feet, you can, because you know, bro, no matter how much skill you got, if you 6'6" playing down here in the post, I'm gonna meet you at the rim and block you anyways.
Exactly.
So it's different approaches to the game.
And that's what you just said made me think about Chris Paul.
Facts.
Maybe 6 foot. I'm I'm willing to say he's 5'10", 5'11", maybe.
Right.
He can shoot the skin off the ball.
Yep.
In the mid-range and from three.
Yep.
And that's what separates him from a guy like John Wall.
Right.
Who is 6'4", freak athlete, fast, jump high, everything. He can't shoot as good as Chris Paul.
Yep.
More athletic. But Chris Paul has refined his shooting skills so much that he's been able to last longer. He's been able to stay relevant longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just so many different things that he's been able to do longer because of that ability.
Skill creates longevity. Like, if you go into basketball completely relying on your athleticism and nothing else, then you're going to have a short career unless you have the durability of a LeBron James. That's why, Derrick Rose happened the way he did. We're finally starting to see Russell Westbrook somewhat decline,
Exactly.
and that's why we fear for people like John Morant. Because even D Wade broke down a lot based off of just being athletic. You hit the floor enough times and jump enough times, you're going to wear down. You have to develop those skills. And it's interesting to see what John Wall will do this year, because we know he's never going to be as explosive as he once was with Achilles and, all the problems he's had. So Chris Paul is a perfect example of skill and basically being relevant because of it. And did you see the story that he told with Gilbert?
No, I
Long story short, because we talk about how nice Gilbert is. It's funny, everything keeps connecting. But Gilbert was saying that he was working out, or it was off season, but they were getting ready to go into training camp. He's not really in full shape like that. He said that his trainer called him up and said, "Look, I got this guy who's super nice, who's going to be going into the draft. Come play him."
I have heard this story on No Chill. I have heard this story.
And it's Chris Paul, a young Chris Paul coming out of Wake Forest. And he said Chris Paul destroyed him. And this is Gilbert Arenas, who's hibachi, who is, giving Kobe 60. And Chris Paul came and destroyed Gilbert Arenas. Fast forward 10 plus years later, Chris Paul is saying the exact same thing happened to him with Josh Hart, who had just came out of Villanova. So it's like, we're talking about mega superstars, guys who are giving your favorite player 40, 50, 60 points, and some no-name guard at the time. I mean, Chris Paul was not no-name, and neither was Josh Hart, but somebody who's now on the same caliber as the guys they're playing against are coming in and destroying them. What does that tell you? Any guard could get got on any day, because what separates us isn't much outside of possibly a little bit of height and a little bit more skill.
Yeah. Gilbert Arenas says a lot of logical things, but I think people take his antics and they try to skew his logic.
Yeah.
But he made me realize John Wall might be a little worse off than we think because he was, the way he broke it down, he was like, John goes to his left a lot.
Yeah.
Meaning he jumps off his right foot.
Right.
So I think his Achilles was the right Achilles that got hurt.
Yeah.
He was like, he needs that Achilles to plant and get off that shot, that dunk. He was like, he won't be the same.
Right.
Now, man, that makes sense. Even though John's right-handed, he does go to the left a lot, meaning he plants off that right foot to go up. He's a 1-foot jumper. So Gilbert says a lot of stuff that makes sense. It's just people try to skew his logic because he's so crazy. But
yeah, and don't get me wrong, he does say some crazy stuff, but at the same time, it's like, y'all, it comes into that thing of just because you play, you don't know basketball, and if you didn't play, you don't know basketball. It's like, I'm going to believe the person who played basketball before I believe the person who doesn't play basketball. That doesn't mean that what he says is law, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Gil before I go to the guy who never touched the basketball beyond middle school.
Man, all right. So before we get out of here, last question. Give me some of your favorite players, regardless of level or league. It could be Euro League, G League, high school, college, D1, D2. Give me your top 5 favorite players of all time, regardless of level of league,
Oh man.
or some of the top guys that you've seen.
Who? Well, Kobe Bryant. Like I love Kobe, so that's my favorite player of all time.
Okay.
I love Steph Curry. Like my top 5 favorites. And then from there, I'll start going kind of OG on just people who had a major influence on my basketball, like mind and my love for it. Brandon Jennings, when he was in high school with Belmont Shores for AU, and before going to Oak Hill, and even when he went to Oak Hill, different.
BJ, okay.
OJ Mayo.
Ooh.
OJ Mayo was the first ever like hoop mixtape, Ball is Life mixtape I've ever seen. I would come home every single day in middle school and just watch and just like freak out because I'm like, he really threw the ball off the backboard in the middle of the
From
game
the free throw line
and dunked it and then threw the ball into the stand. So I'm thinking like, this is high school basketball. Like I can do this. Never did it. Never did that in my life. But very inspiring. It was great. Like I loved OJ Mayo.
Man, Mayo was supposed to be one of the ones.
Man, he was supposed to be the one. He was supposed to be the one. He was at Bean's neck at his own camp. Or was it Bean or MJ?
Jordan. It was Jordan.
He was at Jordan's neck. Like
yeah, he was.
young OJ Mayo.
Jordan
like,
got him though.
Oh, for sure. But that was the mentality back then. The mentality back then was just like everybody was sick. Nowadays, it's hard to find the sickness for real. And who's somebody else?
So you said Kobe, Steph, Brandon Jennings, Mayo.
Ooh. I'll give one who I thought was going to be the truth. And politics just kind of messed him up. Marshawn Brooks.
Ooh.
Marshawn Brooks. Providence. He was like being reincarnated. And he got drafted to the Boston Celtics. And just for some reason, they just like weren't playing him like that. And they kind of got rid of his minutes. Then he was with the New Jersey Nets for a little bit. Same thing happened. Went overseas for a while. And then he popped back up with the Memphis Grizzlies like 2-3 years ago and started getting 30 and then just disappeared again. And like they just got rid of him. But Marshawn Brooks, I loved watching Marshawn Brooks. I thought he was different, bro, for real.
And you gave 3 vastly underrated guys.
Yo, they different. Like and I love them so much because they just had such a major impact on my basketball psyche, and they really, really made me want to play basketball at the highest levels. Like I'll never forget seeing Brandon Jennings with the high top fade and, trying to break the assist record at the McDonald's All-American game. Like that was just so different, like he's throwing off the glass, he's throwing crazy passes in the Boost Mobile Elite 24 game out there in Rucker Park and dancing and everything and stuff on the court. I was like, yo, this dude just the coolest thing ever. So I'm geeking out right now, but yeah, like all those guys really just had like a major impact, and I love all those guys so much.
Man, that's what's up, man. You took it back for me, bro. Mayo was my dog. I wanted to be like OJ Mayo so bad.
For real?
I wanted to be like him so bad. I'm like, dang, bro.
Bro, I wanted to go to the ABCD camp so bad. I wanted to get invited to that. Like, do you remember the ABCD camp?
Yeah, I think it was it him and was it Lance?
Lance Stevenson, yeah, born ready.
Yeah.
Man.
Him and Lance Stevenson went head to head in that. Yeah, that was nice, bro. They was nice.
Oh, they were so different, bro.
It was nice. I'm gonna give you another guy from around the same area as OJ Mayo. Do you remember Bill Walker?
Billy Skywalker?
Yeah.
No, his bounce was crazy, dog. Like he was punching on dudes crazy. Didn't he get drafted to the New York Knicks or something?
Man, Bill Walker. Let me see.
I think he was with the
Did
Knicks.
Bill Walker even play an NBA game?
Nah, he was. He was with the Knicks. He didn't do nothing with them. Like, I mean, it was garbage as far as that's concerned. But where did he go to college? Did he go to K-State? Where did he go to college?
He went to Kansas State.
Was that around the time that like Wally Judge and them start getting ready to come through there and they start having that DMV line?
So I think, did Beasley go first or did Bill Walker go first?
See, now you asking the tough questions because Beasley, you saw the Beasley story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Beasley was different, but I think Beasley was there like in 06. Because didn't D Rose get drafted in 07? Was he at Memphis in 06?
Rose got drafted in. Did Rose get drafted in 07 or 08? I can't remember.
Because it was D Rose, Mike Beasley went to Miami, and OJ Mayo went to Memphis. I think that was like
Rose got drafted in 08.
Okay. So Beasley played 08 because he did 1 year. So then Billy Skywalker
was 07 then. He had to have went first.
Because the big time player who came in to K-State after Beasley was Wally Judge.
Mm-hmm.
Wally Judge was supposed to be the truth. And then my big homie, Rodney Magruder, went to K-State with Wally, I want to say. Yeah, he went the same year with Wally. And
K-State has some ones. Jacob Pullen.
Oh my gosh, yo. He was playing in the TBT this year.
Okay.
Cooking.
He's seeing that, but I don't watch it. I need to tune into that more.
Hey man, look, I like it. I like the TBT just because to me it personifies what I kind of talk about with Hoop Politics. It's like there are all these dudes who are super nice that nobody even remembers anymore. And a lot of them actually had small stints in the NBA, but they just didn't stick, whether it was, not the right time, right situation, or hey, the NBA changed right under their feet. Like we're supposed to be shooting the basketball at a high level now, and we weren't trained to shoot the basketball. So now we're overseas somewhere. But you see those guys in the TBT, high level basketball, and it's really, really great. I love it.
Man, shout out to K-State. They had some hitters come through there, bro. Frank Martin was the coach.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. Man, where's he now? He just got fired from South Carolina.
That's where he was. He was at South Carolina.
But where is he now? Because he got fired at the end of this year because they just hired the black coach over there.
Let me see. Let me look it up real quick. Frank Martin. UMass.
Okay.
UMass.
That's not a bad spot. UMass got some history over there, especially with John Calipari being over there.
Yeah, you had Marcus Camby go through there. So they got a little history.
Right. They'll be all right.
Yeah. Hey man, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, bro. I love talking with people who actually know how to talk hoop. Hey man, let everybody know where they can follow you again, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Man, Hoop Politics, Hoop_politics. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Hoop Politics on YouTube as well. For anybody out there, guys, girls, it doesn't matter, who are just trying to map out and figure out how to get to their goals in basketball, whether it's making your varsity basketball team, whether it's AAU, Division I, Division II, overseas, NBA. I talk to a lot of guys who are playing at the high major D1 level now, who reach out and ask me even stuff like, what school should I pick? What school should I go to? That puts me in the best situation. So if you're into any of that kind of stuff, then give me a holler, man. I would love to, connect with you. And also, thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it. This has been a really, really cool time, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again.
Man, appreciate you coming on, bro. It was a pleasure having you on, man. And thank you for being here. And that's it, man. 995 Sports, Hoop Politics, man. I'm out.